So, without further ado, I bring you... Phantasmagoria!
Hello every pony, I've returned to make yet another cartoon ranking video. Last time I ranked every episode in Codename Kids Next Door, and before that I went over every episode of My Little Pony. Anyway, if you couldn't already tell by the title, today I'll be ranking every episode of My Life as a Teenage Robot. Now you might be asking, why Teenage Robot? Well, it's simple. I felt like rewatching the series, and I know these ranking videos get views, so might as well do another one. Also, as far as I'm aware, no one else has done a video ranking like this for the show, so I guess this makes me the first. Anyway, before I start the ranking, I'm going to quickly go over my brief history with the show as well as explain how the rankings work. If you don't care about either of those and just want to start at the ranking, then you can skip to this time. I've been a fan of Teenage Robot for quite a long time now. I started watching it around 2007 to 2008 on Nicktoons Network, and ever since then it's been one of my favorite Nicktoons. It has great characters, strong comedy, and is easily one of my favorite looking cartoons. Its character designs and backgrounds are fantastic. The show is so appealing to look at. It's so distinct and its use of colors is great. I love it so much, which is why I bought the DVDs of it back when they came out over a decade ago. Now these DVDs are extremely basic and soulless. There's no special features on them, all the artwork is basic PNGs, there's nothing here besides just all the episodes. And that's fine, since that's what I mainly care about anyway. These DVDs were official and cheap, and that's exactly what I wanted. The only minor problem with them is that some scenes aren't in great quality and the video will go down to 240p sometimes. It rarely happens, but it happened about 3 times, so it's worth mentioning. Now, why am I rambling about these DVDs all of a sudden? Well, that's because this is a good segue into talking about how the rankings work. First off is the listings and episode numbers for each episode and season. For some odd reason, the episode listing is a bit messy, most notably in season 3. On these DVDs, Cluster Prime is listed as the second episode in season 3, even though it's the last episode in season 2. Also, on Paramount Plus, it's listed as the final episode in season 3, which doesn't make sense considering some season 3 episodes take place after it. There's also some other episodes that are out of order, and I don't know why. Either way though, I'll be using the episode listing that's on Wikipedia for this video. Second, I will be ranking every episode of the show, which also includes Escape from Cluster Prime and even the original pilot episode. Third, there are going to be episodes that you like that I don't, and ones that I like that you don't. If you want to discuss your thoughts on an episode or multiple episodes, then comment below. Fourth, I will be rating each episode on a score of 1 to 10, however, spoilers, the lowest score given is only a 3. Fifth, the rankings for each episode does matter, although some are interchangeable. It's difficult to judge and rank these since nearly all the episodes are only 11 minutes long, but basically the rankings matter, although don't take them too seriously. Finally, I'm the harem reviewer, meaning I review harems, and it turns out the Teenage Robot is in fact a harem. Jenny is liked by Brad, Sheldon, and Kenny. So yes, My Life as a Teenage Robot is a harem. I'm legally allowed to review it, and that's what I'm going to do now.
But they are, and they're using actors.
Here's Jenny!
Not sure if this is a hot take or not, but I consider Tuckered Out to be the show's worst episode. Everyone helps Tuck make a movie for his school project, which sounds fun, but sadly it isn't. The entire episode is ruined because Tuck is an annoying asshole and treats everyone like shit. Halfway through, he does apologize to everyone and says that he'll treat them better, which he does. For about 15 seconds. Then he goes back to being a prick, which just makes me wonder why he even apologized in the first place. The episode ends with Jenny embarrassing Tuck by showing everyone videos of him when he was little. Tuck starts crying, and that's where the episode should end, but it doesn't. No, instead Tuck's teacher passes him, and now everyone is happy for some reason, even though Tuck was a giant piece of shit and didn't deserve this. He treated everyone like crap, and Jenny was the one who got him a passing grade anyway. way. This is so frustrating and unsatisfying to watch. If the episode played it safe and had Tuck learn that being a jerk is wrong, then this would have been a fine episode. After that, we could have seen the cast enjoy themselves and make a movie, which again, sounds like a lot of fun. It's not the most original idea, but it's always fun to see characters make a movie together. Haruhi did this, and that's one of the show's best episodes. I guess that's also part of the reason why this episode pisses me off so much. This could have been a fun episode where the cast makes a movie, but instead it's just what I'm calling a Mother Tucker episode. Tuck is easily the show's worst main character, but he's not awful. He's just very inconsistent. This is his worst appearance and episode, but sadly this isn't the only bad Mother Tucker episode because... Help me!
The Dunderhead's Guide to Idiocy?
Enjoy, Billy.
Catcher in the Rye?
Not today, Ed.
Yep, so the two worst episodes in the show are both Mother Tucker episodes. In this one, Tuck keeps asking Jenny for help even though he's not in danger and just wants to show off to his friends. This is basically a Jenny torture porn, so if that bewilders your boner, then this is the episode for you. There's not much to really say about it. Again, Tuck is a dick and Jenny is miserable. That's basically it. The only thing this episode does better than the last one is its ending. After dealing with Tuck all day long, Jenny chases him and tries to kill him. It's definitely not worth watching the entire episode just for these few seconds, but at least it isn't as confusing and frustrating as the last one. But yeah, just like the other episode, there are good jokes in here, but it's ruined because again, Tuck is an annoying asshole and doesn't learn anything. The only other minor thing keeping this above Tuckered Out is that this is a season 1 episode, so I'm willing to cut the writers some slack since they were still seeing what works and what doesn't. But still, even for a season 1 episode, it's pretty.
But a magic samurai warrior wielding a foolish sword.
How it feels to chew 5 gum. Stimulate your senses.
This is the second to last episode of the series, and unfortunately, it's easily one of the worst episodes. There's this robot vacuum called Samurai Vac, which is a funny name, but the character himself sucks. No pun intended. He's a vacuum cleaner that thinks he's a samurai, so he goes around trying to save everyone even though he can't do anything. His voice is annoying, his character is dislikable, and there's nothing nice I can say about him. I've debated whether or not to put this as the worst episode since I really don't get any pleasure from this besides the one car stuffing joke. But even though I really don't like this episode, the Mother Tucker episodes piss me off more.
Fly home, buddy.
Jenny wants to be homeschooled because she starts hating her life at school, which is pretty dumb. Jenny wants to fit in and hang out with other teens, and one way to do that is by going to school. It seems out of character for her to drop out of school when she was the one who wanted to attend high school in the first place. Also, some of the reasons for her being upset don't make any sense at all. She's mad because she has to climb a mountain in the snow, even though she can, you know, fly. She's angry over getting a pop quiz, even though she has all of her school's lessons downloaded into her system, so she should pass easily. She's also on a long line to use the bathroom, which also doesn't make any sense. The only one that works is her resting in the rain, which I liked since it's a callback to the intro. So yeah, her wanting to be homeschooled is really forced, doesn't make sense, and again, feels out of character for her. Even after this, she doesn't act like herself at all. She's just a dick and doesn't care about anything for some reason. Instead of paying attention and learning, she tries to cheat her way through Nora's lesson. It is amusing to some extent, but again, this doesn't feel like Jenny at all, which is the episode's biggest problem. Even Nora acts a bit too crazy towards the end too. This episode was destined to fail since the concept itself just isn't good.
Dude, that's my mom. You will be under my hypnotic spell!
I don't know what this episode is trying to say, what the point of it even is, and even the episode doesn't know either.
And I suppose we learned something about trusting and respecting each other in the process. I'm not sure what exactly.
There's this old stalker guy that's obsessed with Nora, and Jenny is rightfully suspicious of him. He goes around laughing like a maniac and has pictures of Nora all around his house, so he's definitely a creep. However, the episode wants to teach us that looks can be deceiving, since it turns out that the old stalker isn't evil after all. He's just weird and that's it. This doesn't work because again, he's a creep that has pictures of Nora plastered all over his house.
That's disturbing.
It feels like this ending is only like this for shock value. Yes, it would be predictable if the dude was evil and all, but at least it would make sense and not feel confusing like this does.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
Can we have the cross-examination after I go shopping? Thank you.
Nora updates Jenny, making her unable to hang up on her when she calls her. The concept isn't great, but it's not that bad. Obviously, Nora becomes annoying as the episode goes on since she's embarrassing Jenny and it basically turns into a Jenny torture porn. Besides Nora being somewhat dislikable, my other issue is Jenny being kind of stupid. If she can't hang up on Nora, then why doesn't she just unscrew the monitor or destroy it? She does that at the end, so why didn't she think of that sooner? Jenny gets mistaken for a goddess by some weird aliens, and it's easily one of the series' most forgettable episodes. The aliens are kind of annoying, although that's sort of the point. None of the jokes are great, and overall there's not a whole lot to say. It's just very mediocre, but harmless. At the very least, there's some interesting visuals in the last act.
Tuck! Are you okay? Say something!
Another Tuck episode, although it's not nearly as bad as the other two. Tuck wants to do something dangerous, but then realizes that dangerous is, dangerous. He then gets scared of everything, but later finds out that he'll live a long life, so now he's not afraid of anything anymore. This results in him doing reckless things, which forces Jenny to save him every time. It's pretty much The Boy Who Cried Robot, but done much better. Jokes are fine, and Tuck isn't an asshole as much in this episode, plus he actually learns his lesson in the end too. Although he still gets into an accident and almost dies, which is good because he deserves it.
Like when the Tin Man found out he was gay.
Yet another Tuck episode that's also okay. This time Tuck wants to become the Silver Shell's sidekick, although he can't do anything since he's just a dumb kid in a metal suit. Tuck is fine here. He's not annoying or dislikable like in other episodes. What carries this episode is the concept alone as well as the jokes, which are pretty good too. We also get to see Jenny and Silver Shell work together, which is cool.
Where is Tuck? I thought he'd be waiting for us.
Uh-oh. Tuck got out again.
Amish Mafia, series premiere, Wednesday, December 12th at 9.
Look out! The teacher has an electronic thesaurus!
He's afraid of dinosaurs too.
Jenny falls in love with a new boy at school named Travis Scott. He's a weirdo though, since he's afraid of technology, which obviously means he's afraid of Jenny. Despite that, Jenny still wants to get in his pants and take a bite out of his burger. Travis himself is alright, I guess. He's a big pussy and needs to get over his fear of technology so he can fuck Jenny's metallic brains out. He's also kind of an asshole at the end since he yells at her for not saving everyone quick enough since she didn't want to interrupt their date. Like, he is right, don't get me wrong, but she was just trying to be nice even though she was still in the wrong. The villains are very forgettable, but at least Jenny's girl outfit is spicy goodness like a boss.
The pizza is aggressive.
This is the weakest Skyway Patrol episode, but it's still decent. Skyway Patrol is the show's military, and they don't like Jenny since she always saves the day, which is supposed to be their job. This episode is basically a worse version of Pajama Party Prankapalooza. That episode had Skyway Patrol try and catch Jenny ruining the town, which would result in her being shut down. It's similar here, except this time Nora actually gets arrested, so that's something. Even though the concept is reused, it's saved by having some good jokes.
He ran his strong fingers through her sumptuous raven hair and...
The book from under my seat, dum-dum!
That was from under your seat!
That's why I'm moving out, so I don't get your 2 cents on everything.
But it's Jane Million, don't you want?
Sanctuary!
2 cents was worth a lot when I was a teenager.
Nora pisses off Jenny, so she moves out and starts living in the shed outside. She has parties every night, which results in her failing all of her classes at school. Obviously, Jenny realizes that her mom was right about being responsible and listening to her, yada yada, pretty standard stuff. This is one of the most basic and predictable episodes in the show, although that's not inherently a bad thing. My only problem is that Brad is kind of an ass for not noticing that Jenny is in trouble and needs her help. I get that this episode is about Jenny learning to listen to her mom and all, but still, it's a bit annoying.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
The pilot episode that sort of started it all. It's nearly identical to the first episode, although there are some minor differences. The biggest is its length, which is less than 7 minutes long compared to the first episode's 11 minutes. Because of this, the episode is much quicker and unfortunately rushed in some areas. This was fixed in the first episode since, again, they had more time to work with. Characters are basically the same, although there is one small difference that notably changes Jenny's character. In the first episode, Jenny sees that the asteroids are headed to Earth, but she ignores them since she thinks that they won't do any harm. This shows that Jenny is still a teenager. She's arrogant, carefree at times, but most importantly, makes mistakes. This small scene, however, isn't in the pilot. Instead, the asteroids come out of nowhere, and the only mistake Jenny makes is accidentally bringing Tuck into space with her. Besides that, if you couldn't already tell, the show was designed much differently and also much worse too. All pilots are like this, but this is night and day compared to how the series ends up looking. This is a big reason why the pilot is ranked so low on the list, since again, visually speaking, the show looks fantastic. The only other thing worth noting is that Brad's voice is completely different.
Tucker, you okay? Tuck, what is it?
But yeah, this is basically, Mom, I want to watch the first episode, but son, we have the first episode at home. Visually, it's leagues worse, it's a bit rushed, and overall, there's not really any reason to watch it. Vexus and Krakus team up to make evil Jenny dolls. It's a very weird concept, but it is unique at least. Considering this is a villain team up episode, it's pretty disappointing. I don't even know why Vexus is here in the first place. She doesn't do anything, and her being here does more harm than good. She's always with Krakus, yet she doesn't know that he made a deactivation switch for the toys. Also, I guess I'll ask the question some of you may have. So Sheldon bought a bunch of Jenny toys. You think when he got home, he put them in jars?
What the fuck? Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
Remember Crash Pad Crash? Well, this is sorta similar to that. Jenny throws a party, although she realizes that it's a lot of work. It's not an original concept, but just like many episodes, it's carried by its good characters, visuals, and jokes.
Pin the tail on the donkey?
Wow. I totally love that game!
I found a spaceship!
Don't worry, Doc. We'll catch him. Just leave the driving to me.
Brad is tired of sitting around and not doing anything, so he follows Jenny, finds a UFO, and drives it even though he's not supposed to. He's kind of an asshole, which is my only minor complaint. It's nothing awful like Tuck and the Mother Tucker episodes, but it's enough where it somewhat bothered me. Thankfully, Tuck is really good here since he continually tries to get Brad to stop going against Jenny's orders. Besides that, this is the first appearance of Skyway Patrol, so that's something.
Wow, what an asshole.
After leaving the teen team, Misty comes back to Earth to hang out with Jenny. She goes to school with her, and the two of them decide to mess with the Crust Cousins because they're both giant pieces of shiitake mushrooms. The montage is fun, although it does last an entire 2 minutes, which is kinda long. While most of the episode is solid, it's sadly held back by its ending, which is just confusing and frustrating. Misty goes crazy and says her plan was to rule the school or something, which just seems out of character for her. She's sort of a jerk, but I can't see her doing and saying something like this. Also, Jenny saves the Crust Cousins from her, but instead of apologizing, they just tell her she's stupid, which is annoying. They really couldn't have had them genuinely apologize to her. I know they're pricks and all, but even for them, this is infuriating. But yeah, the ending is sort of shit, but the rest of the episode is fun.
Hey, you want to see something cool?
Our latest reports indicate a 20% rise in mischief, a 40% rise in shenanigans.
an 80% rise in tomfoolery, and don't even get me started on the horseplay.
Like I said before, this is just a slightly better version of a spoonful of mayhem. Skyway Patrol is trying to catch Jenny harming the town so they can shut her down forever. While this is going on, Jenny is causing trouble in order to impress the Crust cousins and some other sluts at school. It's predictable, but again, there's enough good jokes to make up for its basic writing.
We're a family!
Jenny finds out that she has a hippie aunt along with a weird nature freak grass monster cousin thingy. However, Nora and her sister hate each other because Nora likes science and her sister likes nature. It's a simple concept that works fairly well. It's always fun to see Jenny hang out with other non-humans that are weird and different like her. My only problem is its ending, which has Nora and her sister fighting, which is pretty annoying. They made up one scene earlier, but now they're back to hating each other. Couldn't they just have a happy ending where they all just get along? I guess the writers thought it'd be funny to have them fight again because my name's Jeff. Jenny causes too much damage to Tremorton and now has to pay Skyway Patrol $300 million, otherwise Nora loses her house and all her inventions. Because of this, Jenny decides to rent herself out to people to make some money. It's a good concept and I'm surprised Jenny never thought of doing something like this before to make some money for herself. I mean, she makes $300 million in a month, which is insane.
That's a lot of money, I guess, for a person of color.
But anyway, rent a robot? More like rent a girlfriend.
Madden.
Jenny plays football, she becomes a football star, and she does football things. Now, I don't know anything about football since, well, I review porn in my free time. Of course I know nothing about football. But anyway, this one is fun enough. There's good jokes, colors look great, and Jenny's football gear looks cool. If you like football, then you'll probably like it a lot. But if you're like me and know nothing about football, then you'll still like it too.
Look at his ears.
The Van Gogh. This one's half price.
Jenny has Sheldon make her a pair of ears and... obviously, she sees how stupid she looks and realizes that she doesn't need ears. It's very simple, but like most episodes, it's carried by its comedy. Jenny asking Sheldon for help is always great since she rarely does that.
I'm really rich.
Sheldon pays one of the sluts at school to go out with him in order to make Jenny jealous. It's such a weird concept, but it ends up working. The ending is very bizarre. It shows the slut and the Crust cousins 20 years in the future, and their lives suck, which is pretty satisfying. This episode also has the funny nerd be gone in it. I have an edited version of this on my PC, where instead of saying nerd be gone, it says something else. I'm not going to say what that is though, because I don't want my channel to be taken down. Again.
You're old.
And that tuck is where babies come from.
Remember the episode Teen Idol where Jenny was being worshipped by those annoying aliens? Well, the episode ended with Jenny throwing Sheldon into space with them. This episode takes place a day after that, and we find out that Sheldon has turned into an old man because of how time works in space or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, it's cool to see an episode take place almost immediately after the previous one. This is something other shows do on occasions, but this is the only time Teenage Robot did this. It would have been interesting to see other episodes do this as well, since there's a lot you can do with 2 episodes being connected like this. But yeah, fun episode, although Sheldon wants to fuck Nora later on, which is just disgusting! Teen Team time. Uh-oh. Better make sure to put away your cupcakes. So there's a group of aliens that come to Earth and they want Jenny to join their team. Pretty standard stuff. Jenny joins them, finds out that they're assholes, leaves them, and then everything goes back to normal. It's a trope that's been done to death in plenty of shows, but it works well enough here since the episode is about Jenny trying to fit in with others like herself. And besides, it's always nice getting to see Jenny be happy with other non-humans, even if it's not permanent or for very long. Anyway, Misty is good, although I never cared for the other two. That's probably because Misty is in 2 other episodes besides this, but even so, the others were never as cool or interesting as her.
Mickey Mouse.
Nora's lab rat Mr. Scruffles and his army of mice with the bubonic plague hijack Jenny's body and try to kill Nora. Seeing Nora's other creations and experiments fight and go after Jenny is fun, and it's something the series continue to do later on. Mr. Scruffles is one of the better one-off villains. He's memorable due to his Russian accent, along with the Russian music that plays whenever he's on screen too. My only nitpick is that the fight against him drags on for a bit, but besides that, this isn't a bad follow-up to the first episode.
Direct from Broadway, Shrek the Musical.
Jenny wants to be a part of the drama club, but the director won't let her since he's a big fat racist. There's not much to say about this. The lesson of judging someone by their looks isn't new, but like many episodes, it's carried by its good visuals, characters, and jokes.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou? Romeo!
Like I'm right here, babe.
The only thing worth mentioning is that besides the first 30 seconds, the entire episode takes place in one location, which is the auditorium. Pretty sure no other episode is like this, so yeah. Tuck makes Jenny fight other robots in a battle royale, and it ends with Jenny getting the victory royale. While it is a lot of fun, there are some minor issues with it. First off, why does everyone think Jenny's being controlled by Tuck? This is season 2, and Jenny has saved Tremerton plenty of times by now and should be known by everyone. Also, it's out of character for Jenny to destroy other robots just to make Tuck happy. She doesn't want to and feels bad for destroying them, but still, I can't see Jenny doing this even if it is to make Tuck happy. As for Tuck, he's fine here. This isn't his best appearance, but this is also far from his worst too. Plus, this has some of the best action in the series. It's great.
iPhone, iPad, iPhone, I snap!
So there's this new product called a Musique that can do anything, and everyone has one. Or at least everyone except Jenny. After failing at trying to earn money to buy one, she ends up stealing one and lies about it until she finally admits that she stole it. I could be wrong, but apparently some people hate this episode, and I really don't understand why. I believe some fans don't like it because they think Jenny acts out of character since she steals the musique. The whole reason why she steals it is because she wants to fit in with everyone else so badly, which is what the entire show is about. She's so desperate to fit in that she goes as far as breaking the law, which I could see since again, she is a teenager after all. Teenagers make stupid decisions like this all the time, and Jenny makes a lot of mistakes in the show. I really don't see why people would have a problem with this. And besides, it's not like she's physically harming anyone by stealing this. Also, I'm sure Jenny has a built-in MP3 along with other stuff the music can do, but again, that doesn't matter since she just wants it because everyone else has one. If I am wrong about this and most people don't mind this episode, then let me know in the comment section.
I gotta sing the Doom song now! Doom, 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 doom! Fire, fire, fire!
Fire! Fire! Fire!
Brad, Tuck, and Jenny have a snowball fight, but then a robot from the cluster comes and fights Jenny. This is the first episode that introduces the cluster, which is cool, although there's no mention of Vexus. While it is funny, it doesn't really make sense why the robot has an off button on his back. With someone like Krakus, it makes sense because he's stupid, but for someone seriously threatening like this guy, it just seems underwhelming. But besides that minor complaint, this is a pretty standard and fun early episode. Brad wants to go on an adventure and actually do something in his life since he's tired of sitting around while Jenny always saves the day. They've already done something like this before in Unlicensed Flying Object and Last Action Hero, but it still works here since the setting is different and we get introduced to some new characters too. One of them is Melody, who's also a robot girl just like Jenny. She doesn't do too much here, but we at least get to see more of her in her next episode. At first I had this rank notably lower, but the more I thought about it, the more I ended up enjoying it. So Jenny goes to an amusement park and releases all the robots there since she believes that they should be set free. The idea is good, but my main problem is that this comes immediately after the previous episode, Trade Show Showdown. In that episode, Jenny destroys a bunch of robots without showing any remorse. I know it was a bit out of character for her to do that in that episode, but still, it's kinda jarring going from that right to this. Again, this isn't a big problem I have with the episode anymore, but it still bugs me, which is why I'm not ranking it as high as it could be. I'm sure a lot of people really like this episode since there's a ton of great jokes in it.
I said, be free.
I see you, Zap.
You two figure it out, just as long as someone... watches out for me.
Watch out for that car!
Nora gives Jenny a new pair of eyes that will help her defeat villains, but Jenny doesn't want them because they make her look stupid. Like the Weasley episode, a minor complaint I have with this is its placement in the season. This comes right after Speak No Evil and Ear No Evil, which is really weird. You'd think they'd spread these episodes farther apart, but for some reason they didn't. Despite this being the third No Evil episode, it's surprising to see how different it is from the other two. Jenny creates the problem here since she's so stubborn and doesn't want to wear her new eyes. It's entirely character driven, which is why it works so well.
Ass!
I'm so horny!
Thanks so much for your help. Hope to see you around sometime. Bye!
Bye-bye!
The very first Sheldon episode where he meets Jenny and wants to stick his screw in her driver. I can see if some people don't like Sheldon, but obviously he's one of my favorites. He's a geek that wants to have sexual intercourse with a pile of metal. And if he ever does get the chance to score with Jenny, then that's what I'd call heavy metal. Anyway, it's one of the very first episodes, so it's pretty simple, but again, it works because of its likable characters and good jokes.
This is the ultimate showdown.
Jenny goes to a robot convention, although she's disappointed since none of the robots are as developed as her. Vexus is in it, however she's not that smart or threatening here. Her plan is to control all the other robots at the convention, despite them all being pretty pathetic. The best part is definitely hearing Nora call Jenny her daughter as well as Jenny. It's an amazing moment, although the rest of the episode isn't anything too impressive.
Dun, 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 dun.
No! Not the almanac! 1,000 deadly pages of useless facts!
Jenny and everyone get stuck on an island since Tuck's an asshole and uses up most of Jenny's battery. This is obviously a Jurassic Park parody, and while it's good, I don't like it as much as others probably do. One great thing about it is that the stakes are very high since Jenny is limited on power. Every time she runs or fights someone, she gets closer and closer to shutting down, which would suck.
Daughter of the evil Dr. Locust?
Of course, there are other things to do with your lips besides talk.
Melody is back, and just like Jenny, she wants to live her life as a normal girl. However, Jenny ends up fighting her, which causes Melody to run away. The fight is great, the action is solid, and the colors are cool too. Unfortunately, since season 4 never came to be, this is Melody's last appearance in the show. Her arc ends on a cliffhanger, which sucks because I would have liked to see how her story ended. I'm sure she and Jenny would have ended up bonding and also would have defeated her father, Dr. Locust. Maybe after that, she would attend school with her and become best friends, but I guess we'll never know for sure. My only gripe with this is that there's this one really annoying joke that gets used 5 times. It's sort of funny the first time, but then after that it just gets old.
Maybe it's the way you're dressed.
Take it out! Take it all out!
Jenny and the Crust Cousins have a fashion battle. Besides a robot for all seasons, this is the only 22-minute episode and it's easy to tell. There's some notable pacing issues. There's 3 montages and they're all pretty long. I'm sure with some minor writing changes and trimming, this could have been cut down to a normal 11-minute episode. At the very least, they could have easily shortened this to a 17-minute episode instead and have a 5-minute short air after it. I do appreciate seeing a 22-minute episode since I prefer bigger and longer episodes. episodes. I'm just disappointed that this is the story they decided to dedicate this much time to. This is especially so since there are clearly other and much better concepts that would have benefited from having double the runtime. Besides One Shot and Ear No Evil, this is the first time we see Brad and Sheldon together. They don't get to interact much like they do in later episodes, but it's still nice to see them finally together like this in one episode. Finally, since this is an episode about fashion, there's a lot of new dress designs for Jenny and the Crust Cousins, and unsurprisingly, they all look great. Sheldon builds a robot suit called the Silver Shell, and he uses it to try and fight crime alongside Jenny. However, Jenny ends up falling in love with the Silver Shell and wants him to fill her oil. Not much to say, the concept is great, it's simple, and pretty funny.
Spies in disguise.
Sheldon becomes a spy and spies on Jenny. Sheldon finds out that the spies he's working for are evil, so he and Jenny stop them together. It's great to see Sheldon be useful and fight alongside Jenny, since he rarely gets to do that even when he's in the Silver Shell. Although briefly, we get to see Jenny's sisters and even Kenny again, which is always good. Jenny also kisses Sheldon at the end, so I'm sure he
Jizzed in my pants. I wonder what's for dinner.
Jenny goes on a dinner date with Don Primo, and Sheldon tries to ruin it. I'm surprised the concept this weird was used so early on in the series. Don Primo was a minor side character that doesn't do much, so it's surprising to see him get a full episode about him in the first season. But yeah, not much to say. It's an interesting idea that has a lot of great jokes.
What is going on?
Breakfast! There's a platypus controlling me.
Dr. Locust takes control of Jenny's sisters and makes them fight her. It's a bit similar to Sister Sledgehammer, where Jenny's being controlled by Smitus and her sisters are the ones to save her. But I don't really mind this, since the idea is a lot of fun, and besides, every episode with Jenny's sisters is really solid anyway. The only minor complaint is that this should have been a 22-minute episode, since the concept alone is great, plus this is also the series' final episode. And considering this is the series finale, wouldn't it make sense to end it with a full 22-minute episode? This is even more disappointing considering the previous episode, Samurai Vac, is one of the worst episodes in the show, so that just ended up being a waste of time. Anyway, Dr. Locust is back, but he might have died in the end. It's hard to tell.
Was that the bite of 87?
I doubt he did, since I'm sure he would have come back in season 4 where Melody and Jenny would have teamed up and defeated him. Or at least that's what I think anyway. But yeah, this is a solid episode, and it's not the worst way to end the series, although again, I really wish this was 22 minutes long.
Welcome to high school, bitch.
Attention Freddy Fazbear's Pizza customers. There's a mixed race couple kissing at table 4.
One of the very first episodes where Jenny begins to attend high school, plus we get introduced to the Slutty Crust Cousins too. I see why people love them, but I also see why people hate them too. As for me, they're alright. Definitely the weakest recurring villains in the series, but I don't mind their presence most of the time. I just wish other villains like Vexus and Smitus got more episodes than them. This is especially so since they're the villains that are in by far the most amount of episodes. Anyway, as for this episode, it's very simple, funny, etc. You know the drill by now. Some of Jenny's past foes team up together to defeat her. It's a great concept, even though some of the villain choices aren't the best. I get that's sort of the point, since they're all supposed to be lame and kind of forgettable, but still, I'm sure there were better picks than the Knight from Ear No Evil. Couldn't they have picked Hempkilles from This Time with Feeling? He was one of the best one-off villains, and it would have been fun to see him again. Anyway, the ending is really good, since Britt actually helps Jenny defeat the villains for once, which was refreshing. While the episode doesn't feel rushed, it still would have been cool if it was a 22-minute episode, since there's a lot they can do with this concept. Also, Jenny shows off her exoskeleton, I think, which is
Ooh, black and yellow. Yeah, let's shake it up a little.
The Crust cousins help Vexus become queen of Jenny's school. Obviously, she double crosses them since she's a bitch. It's always fun seeing two villains interact with each other, especially when one of them is Vexus. Even though the Crust cousins are giant pieces of shit, it's still nice to see them help Jenny out every so often. My only issue is Vexus herself. The last episode she was in was Trash Talk, and in it she went insane since she's been stuck on a trash planet for a good couple months. This episode doesn't explain how she got off it and why she's back to normal, so that's kinda dumb. Nora's first major creation was an evil puppet named Little Acorn, and now he's come back and wants Nora to let him marry Jenny. I've said this before, but seeing Nora's past inventions and robots is always cool. Little Acorn's voice is great and raises us from a good episode to a really solid one.
I need you to make me a bride.
Dynamite salesman!
Dynamite salesman!
Allahu Akbar!
Jenny gets a makeover at the car wash and now she looks super duper cool. I'm sure everyone agrees that her new design is amazing, and it kinda sucks that it's only seen in this episode. Even her design when she's beat up and damaged looks good too, which just goes to show how great the designs are. The way the episode ends is sorta weird. So Jenny almost kills the Mudslinger, who's a pretty good one-off villain, but then invites him to Don Primo's party. When he gets there, he ruins the party, which I'm sorta mixed on. It's good to see the Crust cousins get dirty since they were the assholes who hired him to get Jenny dirty again. However, did the other teens at the party deserve this? Not really, although they did only invite Jenny because she looked cool, so that is a bit scummy of them.
Check out the enclosed instruction book.
After I broke into your house and stole your secret diagrams, I lost them to this other robot girl who I was, getting to know better. But we're still friends, right?
Sheldon steals Jenny's blueprints, but then accidentally gives them to Vexus. I can definitely see if people hate Sheldon for doing this, but this just proves how horny he really is. Not only that, but this episode also confirms that Sheldon isn't just in love with Jenny, but with all robot girls. My only minor nitpick is that the ending is a bit too similar to Mind Over Matter. In it, Jenny learns that it's not what you use to defeat your opponent, but how you use it. Nora installs dream mode into Jenny, which allows her to have dreams whenever she wants. It goes without saying, but visually, this is one of the best in the entire series. All the dream worlds are so stylish and unique, and I wish more of the episode took place in them. Also, this is one of the rare episodes where Jenny herself is the antagonist, which means Tuck, Brad, and Nora get to stop her.
I'm the trash man!
Jenny, Brad, and Tuck go to a trash planet and find out that Vexus, Midas, and Krakus have been living there. Seeing all three of these villains in one episode is great, and I like getting more continuity in the show since this takes place after Escape from Cluster Prime. Vexus is now insane, which is interesting, although the series forgets about this in her next episode.
I'd hate to cause a rift between such good friends.
Out of the 3 Misty episodes, this is definitely my favorite. She comes to Earth, saves the day for multiple weeks straight, which allows Jenny to relax and spend time with her friends. However, she stops saving the day since the town stops paying her, which results in Jenny fighting her. I can see if some people don't like the direction Misty's character went, but it does make sense. Misty wasn't too bad in Teen Team Time since she did help Jenny out in the end, although she did spend and continue to spend time with the team, and they were both sort of assholes, so I'm sure some of their assholiness rubbed off on her. In her last episode, she started going down the wrong path since she wanted to rule Jenny's school. Now in this episode, she goes full scumbag and stops saving people just because they don't have money to pay her. I can see why she does this since she migrates from planet to planet and needs some way to make some money in order to afford food. She also has no family and probably barely any friends too, which doesn't help. I can believe her going evil and beating the hell out of Jenny too. The fight is cool since again, she beats the shit out of her and the episode ends with Misty winning and leaving. It's a pretty somber way to end the episode, but I really like it.
I don't feel so good.
Oh
she must mean A.
Jenny installs nerve endings onto herself, which allows her to feel ticklish, but also pain. It's a fun concept, but doesn't Jenny already feel pain? She said she's felt hurt before in the series, so this is sort of a dumb retcon. Anyway, at least this episode gives us Himcules, who's one of the best one-off villains.
Now, form a sewing circle.
The first episode where we get introduced to Jenny's sisters. The comedy in the series is usually pretty good, although this is easily one of the show's funnier episodes. All of Jenny's sisters managed to ruin her day and embarrass her, and it's great. I know I've said, and will continue to say this, but I sort of wish this episode was 22 minutes long since I want to see more of Jenny's sisters. Also, the villains are Chris Pratt and Charlie Day.
You want to cook crystal meth?
What you reckon it is, Ma?
Why, it's one of them UFOs, Pa!
Let's crack it open and see if it has one of them superpower orphan babies inside.
The Crust cousins wear crystal dresses that give them super duper pooper powers. This episode introduces us to Smitus, who's easily one of my favorite characters. He may not be super threatening by himself, but he's pretty funny, his design is great, plus he's voiced by the Legend 27 himself, Steve Blum. Like I said, the Crust cousins have superpowers now, which means they're able to go head to head with Jenny, which makes for a great fight scene.
Coronavirus! Shit is real!
Brad, Tuck, Nora, and Sheldon get the coronavirus. Brad turns into a pussy. Nora is retarded. Sheldon turns into an asshole, and Tuck. Not much to say. It's very weird and simple. That's mostly carried by its strong comedy.
Microwave popcorn! Too much butter! The Richie arm and extendo finger!
Here goes.
Nora makes Jenny a skin suit, which is supposed to make her look like a normal girl, but instead she looks like... The concept is great, although we only get to see Jenny wear the suit for a few minutes. I'm glad they reused this idea in a later episode, which expanded upon the concept and made for an even better episode. I know I've been praising the show's visuals nonstop, but the colors in the last act look great.
I can hardly wait until tomorrow.
Out of the 3 No Evil episodes, this is by far the best. Jenny goes to Japan and loses her English disc, which means she can't speak English.
If you're gonna stay in this country, you gotta learn to speak English.
Not much to say. It's a very fun concept with a lot of funny moments.
Here you go.
Also, this is why dubs are better than subs.
Last Christmas, I gave you
These nuts. Ha! Got him!
The Christmas special where everyone thinks Jenny is evil and wants to destroy Christmas. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the episode I've seen the most out of the whole show. I usually watch this on my Nick Picks holiday DVD along with a bunch of other holiday classics as a yearly tradition.
We're spending Christmas with Santa, we've never felt so gay.
Gay.
Oh, nigga, you gay!
Gay Luigi?
Anyway, besides Victim of Fashion, this is the only 22-minute episode in the series. Thankfully, unlike Victim of Fashion, this feels like it was written as a 22-minute episode. It's much better paced and there aren't 3 long montages in it. That being said, it still has some minor problems. First off, it's very unrealistic that no one believes in Jenny besides Sheldon. I'm pretty sure Nora has a tracker on Jenny, so shouldn't she be able to see that she's always at Todd's house all the time? I could see Tuck not believing in Jenny and even Brad to some extent, but I can't see Nora thinking her own daughter turned evil. That's just stupid. Besides that, it's kind of annoying that Todd barely gets punished for ruining nearly every single holiday for a year straight. Jenny spanks him and Santa puts him on the naughty list, but that's about it. His parents come back and now he's all happy, which is dumb because he doesn't really deserve this. He should be punished for being a shithead. Jenny should have thrown him into the sun where he can burn for all eternity. But besides its small shortcomings, this is still a great Christmas special. An evil yet powerless robot toy named Kilgore wants to capture Jenny. Like some characters in the show, I can see if some people don't like Kilgore, but I'm pretty sure many fans love this episode. Since Kilgore is a toy, does that mean there are other Kilgores out there like him? The show never answers this, but maybe they would have if season 4 ever came to be. But anyway, this is top tier in terms of comedy.
You wouldn't like my brain. It's all circuity and metallic.
Oh yeah, baby. Here we go. We finally made it to the funny Zone Tan episode where the rock monsters fuck. Anyway, this is basically a much better version of Unlicensed Flying Object. Brad wants to do more than just sit around and do nothing all the time, so he joins Skyway Patrol. He is in the wrong and is kind of an ass, but he realizes his mistake and makes up for it. He also helps Jenny save the day, which we barely get to see, so that's cool. Also, it's kind of weird to see Skyway Patrol be so lame and pathetic here when they were seen as a decent threat in their last episode. But then again, they are a mix of lame yet still threatening for the remainder of the show, so I guess it's not really an issue.
My name is Jenny.
The very first episode of the series, and not sure if this is a hot take or not, but I think it's great. Some series start off good or just okay, but this is one that has a great first episode. This perfectly showcases everything that the series has to offer. It has great comedy with or without dialogue, cool action sequences, fantastic visuals, and of course, great characters. Again, this perfectly shows off Jenny, Nora, Brad, and Tuck. Jenny is a teenage robot who wants to fit in, and sometimes she'll ignore her heroic duties in order to achieve that. Brad is a regular teenager that also cares for his younger brother. Tuck is a nervous kid that's kind of an asshole, but once he understands someone like Jenny, he starts to appreciate them. Finally, Nora is a very strict mother, yet is somewhat lenient towards her daughter Jenny. Considering this episode managed to introduce these 4 characters and pull it off so well is very impressive. Not only that, but it was a smart decision on the writers to not include a villain here. They already had 4 characters, which while not a lot, is clearly enough for only an 11-minute episode. If they tried to squeeze in someone like Vexus or the Crust Cousins, I really don't think this episode would turn out as good as it did. Maybe if it was 22 minutes long and they went that route, then it would work, but as an 11-minute episode, I don't think that would have been a good idea. But yeah, as you can tell, this is rated considerably higher than the pilot episode. That was fine on its own, but there was a great episode in there somewhere. It was just held back by its very short runtime as well as it being visually unimpressive. Because this episode is 11 minutes instead of 7, the episode doesn't feel rushed, plus visually it's leagues better too. Again, not sure if this is a hot take or not, but this is one of the show's strongest episodes and probably one of the best first episodes to any kids cartoon series.
So, dance. Wanna?
Jenny and the Silver Shell go to a dance at school. However, the space bikers come and try to ruin their dance, so Sheldon secretly tries to stop them without Jenny noticing. Sheldon keeping Jenny away from seeing something is an idea that plenty of other shows have done before, but it's still very fun, so I don't really mind. Plus, we get to see Sheldon fight off the bikers by himself, and he doesn't do a bad job, which is something we rarely get to see. My only minor complaint is that Jenny should notice that the bikers are in the other room since they're making a lot of noise.
That's right, Mary.
Tammy from the biker gang comes and marries Brad. This was always one of my favorites since Tammy is hot and she almost fours Brad too. Unfortunately, Brad is a big dumb liberal and divorces her just because he doesn't want to be her slave for the rest of his life. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd switch places with him in a fart beat. I'd marry Tammy, fuck her galactic brains out, and then I'd be a father of 12. But yeah, Brad is a poopy head, but at least he gets kissed by Jennifer, so that's something. Jenny is trapped with Kilgore inside Armageddroid. I didn't need another Kilgore or Armageddroid episode, but I'm pretty happy we got this. Bringing both of them back together in one episode is a great idea. Kilgore is fun, and the big reveal that Jenny is inside Armageddroid is very well done. The action is great, and so is the duller color palette used throughout the first half. The only thing that doesn't make sense is Kilgore being able to single-handedly rebuild Armageddroid. It's a big plot hole, but I don't mind it too much much since this is a blast from start to finish. Also, the ending is really funny too. Armageddroid does the good old Aloha snack bar.
While little Sally blossoms into, Big Sally.
Vexus infects Jenny with a bug that turns her into a
monster.
This one was always one of my favorites. In fact, I'm sure at one point it was my favorite in the whole show. After watching it, along with the rest of the series, it's still great, although it's not the absolute best the show has to offer. This introduced Vexus, which is pretty significant since she's the series' main antagonist. Not only that, but this is also one of the few fetish episodes since it has transformation in it. Finally, Nora, Brad, and Tuck are forced to stop Jenny once she turns evil, which is a lot of fun. It's always entertaining to see them fight against Jenny since she's one of the show's strongest characters. The biker gang turns Jenny into a motorcycle, so she and Tuck go all the way to the planet of the bikers to make them turn her back. When they get there, they find out that the biker gang are all normal aliens that work at a school, which is a huge reveal. All this time, I thought they were just assholes that went around and ruined people's planets for the funny. But I guess not, since when they're not partying around, they're living normal, everyday lives. This is a great final episode for the biker gang, and I really wouldn't mind if this was the last episode of season 3 instead. It doesn't feel conclusive for the series, but it feels like a conclusion for one of the show's biggest recurring villains.
Hi, how are you?
Nora made some adjustments to the raggedy android suit, and now it wants Jenny to live as a normal girl. The first episode was a lot of fun, although there was definitely more they could have done with the idea, and thankfully they did do more, which is why they made this episode. While the first one was very dumb and funny, this one is much more serious and weird because it's yet another fetish episode. If you like body snatching, then this episode will make your pee-pee long and hard.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
A giant light bulb vampire named Gigawatt drains the entire town of all its energy, and Jenny is struggling to stop him. It's cool to see all the different ways Jenny tries to defeat him, even though all of them end up failing. And because she fails so much, the stakes feel very high, and Gigawatt ends up being super threatening. He's by far one of the best one-off villains because of this, plus his design is great too. My only minor complaint is that the ending is a bit underwhelming. Jenny splashes him with water, which works because he's made of electricity. I know Jenny is supposed to realize that using her mind to defeat enemies is what really matters, which is great. But still, after seeing her struggle and fail for the entire episode, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. But again, that's sort of the point.
What the dog doing?
My match made in heaven robot dreamboat is actually part dog?
Jenny starts going out with a new robot boy in town named Kenny, but then finds out that he's part dog. Jenny interacting with other non-humans, especially robots, is always a ton of fun. The comedy is top-notch, Kenny is very likable, and we even find out that Sheldon is a furry since he has a fursuit.
Meow?
Besides being in the background in Agent 00 Sheldon, this is the only episode that Kenny is in, which sucks because I wanted to see more of him.
Your entire school, your entire school, your entire school.
You are part of some evil chameleon race sent to destroy humanity.
But it's multiple choice.
What? What is it? Did we get him?
Nora is going to present a lecture about Jenny at school, so Jenny is hoping for something to go wrong so it can get cancelled. Just like the last episode, the comedy is amazing. Jenny is so desperate for a villain to show up that she even ends up calling and asking for some to come. Brad acts like a jackass the entire time, and there's even a short song that they both sing, which is stupid, but I like it.
Destroy us all!
Nora's most powerful creation, Armageddroid, comes back and wants to destroy all the world's weapons. This has everything you'd want from an episode in the series. Great visuals, cool action, high stakes, good comedy, and even some additional lore too. We find out that Nora used to be a part of Skyway Patrol, where she helped them win in their first intergalactic war. We also find out that she used to be in porn magazines too, which is disgusting! But yeah, Armageddroid is awesome. He looks cool and is insanely powerful.
Assimilate!
Jenny is captured by Smitus, which means it's up to her sisters to save her. That's right, we get both Smitus and Jenny's sisters, which is great. Because her sisters are so much weaker than her, the stakes are some of the highest they've ever been. They're the Earth's last resort, so if they fail, then everybody will die. This is yet another fetish episode, which is why it's ranked so high. If you like assimilation, then this is the episode for you. My only nitpick is that the ending is pretty underwhelming. XJ1 barfs on Jenny, she regains consciousness, and then wins.
This is so stupid!
The principal believes that Jenny is actually 5 years old, so he sends her to kindergarten. This was always another one of my all-time favorites, and I'm glad this still holds up to this day. Comedy is subjective, but this is easily one of the show's funniest episodes. Jenny takes preschool so seriously and wants to get out so bad, but it always ends up failing somehow. Apparently, some fans hate this episode because they take it way too seriously. I understand the principal and others thinking Jenny is only 5 years old is dumb, but that doesn't ruin it. Sure, it's a minor complaint, but I'm fine with it since again, this is so stupid, over the top, and comedy gold. Jenny also beats the shit out of all the kids in the end, so yippee! We also get child abuse in this episode. But yeah, I guess if you don't enjoy any of the jokes, then I could see why this wouldn't be one of your favorites.
If I could escape.
Here we go. It's finally time to talk about the show's big 45-minute special, Escape from Cluster Prime. Jenny gets sent to Cluster Prime, where she lives alongside other teenage robots, attends school, and has a bunch of fun. Meanwhile, Vexus in the cluster invades Earth and enslaves the human race. It goes without saying, considering this is one of the top episodes, but Escape from Cluster Prime kicks ass. As a standalone special, it's a 7 out of 10, but as a teenage robot episode, it's a 10 out of 10. After being mentioned multiple times already, we finally get to see Cluster Prime, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Nora fights Vexus, the cluster enslaves Tremerton, we find out Vexus has a daughter. There's so much crammed into this 45-minute special. Now, while having this special is certainly a treat, there's obviously some notable problems with it. Even though it's 45 minutes long, it feels rushed in some areas, plus some aspects could have been developed more. The constant switch between the A and B plots is a bit annoying, especially since it switches a lot. Because of this, Escape from Cluster Prime would have most likely been even better if it was a full 70-minute film instead. It still works as a 45-minute special, but I'm sure with an extended runtime, they could have done even more with this premise.
Hey, XJ 1 through 8! Why don't we use Jenny's sisters to— No.
Even if it was just a quick 30-second scene, it would have been nice to see Jenny's sisters try and defeat the cluster. Instead, all we get is Nora saying, "No." The series could have ended here, which it technically sort of did in a way, since this is the season 2 finale and season 3 never aired on Nickelodeon. So if you never had Nicktoons Network growing up, then this was the finale you got on Nickelodeon, and that's actually not a bad way to end the series. If this video gets you in the mood to rewatch the series, then I recommend saving this for last. Yes, there are mentions of this in a few season 3 episodes, but it's not a big deal. This is the biggest and most conclusive episode the show has to offer, so it makes sense and just feels right to end it on this. Escape from Cluster Prime may not be perfect. It clearly has some shortcomings, but for what it is, it's awesome. Also, while I was browsing through the show's Reddit, I came across someone who ships this guy named Snaris with XJ4. Yeah, this one minor character is being shipped with this other very minor character, so that's something alright. Shout out to whoever you are, dude. You're awesome sauce.
Bye, Mom. Goodbye, dear. Bye, Mom. Goodbye, dear.
Krakus separates Jenny into many pieces that are spread across the entire Earth, so now Jenny, Brad, Tech, and Sheldon go to retrieve them all. This is hilarious. It's close, but I feel comfortable saying this is the funniest episode in the whole show. It's just great joke after great joke for its entire run. Having Brad, Tuck, Sheldon, and Jenny together in one episode is a ton of fun, and it's something the show rarely did. Krakus is great. He's a clumsy dumbass that's also kind of threatening too at times.
Nice car.
But yeah, this is a perfect episode. Everything about it is top tier, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Future!
You know, if you get too scared, I can put my arm around your shoulder.
Get your hands off of me.
You know it's a long walk home.
Tuck looks through Nora's future scope and believes that Jenny is going to kill Brad. Not a very shocking pick. No pun intended, for what's easily considered one of, if not the show's best episode. Like most of the top episodes, this one is also hilarious. However, what makes this better than the rest is its use of characters. Jenny, Brad, and especially Tuck are all at their best here. Jenny and Brad are both likable assholes. Jenny wants to see Brad embarrass himself. Meanwhile, Brad wants a date to the movies in order to make himself look cool. Most impressively though is Tuck, since this is his best appearance in any episode. Like I said, Tuck believes Jenny is going to kill Brad, so he tries to prevent her from doing so. He does everything he can to keep Brad safe, which is funny and not annoying because it's all done with good intentions. This is why this episode succeeds where the Mother Tucker episodes fail. But yeah, this is basically the Band Geeks of the show. It's widely considered one of the best episodes, and it's easy to see why. Now, as you've noticed, this is the second best episode in the show. We've gone over this, Escape from Cluster Prime, and plenty of other great episodes. But now it's finally time to go over the best episode in My Life as a Teenage Robot, which is... That's right, gamers. The best episode in My Life as a Teenage Robot is none other than What in the Robot, aka the Zone Tan porn video. The rock monsters come, and yeah, that's actually what they do. They come in Jenny. Now, I obviously can't show any footage from this because I don't want my channel to get taken down, but I'm sure you can find this somewhere online to watch for yourselves. But yeah, you goofy goobers, you just got pranked. You sat and watched an hour-long video just to find out that the #1 spot goes to a fan-made porno. I hope you feel good about yourself because I know I sure do. Well, that's the rankings for all the episodes. If you've seen my last 2 ranking videos, then you'll know that at the end of them, I ranked all the seasons just for fun. Now, originally, I wasn't planning on ranking the seasons for this since there are only 3 of them and I don't have too much to say about them. However, after seeing the scores for them, I noticed how big of a gap there was between each season. So I guess we'll start with the worst season, which is number 3. Unsurprisingly, the worst season is the 3rd and final season. It's not bad by any means, but it's easy to tell that it's the worst of the 3. Even before doing the math, I knew for sure that this would be the weakest. Season 3 has 2 shitters and a few just okay episodes. The main problem is that a majority of the episodes are either just good or pretty good. There's a few great episodes in here, but there's none that are the absolute best in the series. The main reason why season 3 isn't great is because, well, it doesn't have a lot of great episodes. But besides that, it's a bit weak too because it just feels like a regular season again, and not in a good way. Season 3 is the same as season 1 since they both have 13 episodes that are each split into 2 11-minute segments. Season 2 switched things up by having 2 22-minute episodes along with Escape from Cluster Prime, which was 45 minutes long. So to go from that back to just another typical season feels underwhelming. I'm not saying we needed another 45-minute special, although that would have been cool to have. I'm just saying that there's nothing really big or exciting that happens in the season. But again, that's not this season's biggest problem, since it mainly comes down to the writing being notably worse. Number 2. There's not a whole lot to say about season 1. It's the first season, so there's a ton of very simple episodes, a good handful of which introduce side characters and villains. There's some weird things that are only in the first season, such as the Raggedy Android episodes, along with the No Evil episodes too. I'm surprised none of these concepts were expanded upon in the later seasons. Anyway, like I said, season 1 is pretty typical, so I got nothing else to say. It's a good first season. Season 2 is by far the best season. I had a feeling season 2 would be the best, but I didn't expect it to be this much higher than season 1. It is a bit more inconsistent than season 1 since it does have a couple more just okay episodes. However, it more than makes up for it by having a bunch of great and amazing episodes. If you didn't notice, 5 out of the 6 10 out of 10 episodes are from season 2. One of them is Escape from Cluster Prime, but even so, that's still very impressive. Like I said, this season also gave us 2 22-minute episodes, which is a nice welcome. But yeah, not much to say. This season has a bunch of strong episodes. Well, I'm finally done with yet another cartoon ranking video. Like the last two, I had a lot of fun going back and rewatching a solid cartoon series from start to finish. I even had fun making this video, even though it took a ton of time and effort to make. That being said, I will be doing more of these videos on other cartoon series. I have a big shelf here with plenty of shows on them, so I'll pick one out and do another one in the future. I know I'm called the Harem Reviewer, and I will continue to make harem videos because I also enjoy making those videos too. However, it's clear that for better or worse, these videos get notably more views than them. I'm a creator, and I want my videos to reach more rather than fewer people. I'll still make harem videos because if I did spend most of my time making these, I'd only upload a few times a year, and I really don't want to do that. So yeah, I'll continue to make both these cartoon rankings as well as my regular harem and occasional other anime videos too. I wish I was able to make and upload more than I am, but I've got a 45+ hour full-time job, so I'm pretty busy. Now, if you want to support me, you can leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, or even support me on Patreon. Link down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for my 7-hour-long review of the greatest anime of all time, Heaven's Lost Property. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, hipsters.
Yes, yes.